Hello guys, I welcome you to the biology class once again. And as you know, we've been dealing with the topic of sexual reproductions in animals and flowering plants. And so far so good. We've looked at sexual reproduction in animals, we've looked at sexual reproduction in plants, we've looked at how seeds develop and how fruits are formed. So we are now coming to the topic of fruit. Okay, so what is fruit? A fruit is mature fertilized ovary of a flower that contain one or more seeds. I told you before, I said the ovule in a flower develop to form seed, while the ovary develop to form fruit. Okay, so a fruit is a matured fertilized ovary and it contains one or more seeds. However, there are some fruits that are not formed as a result of fertilization. Okay, example of such fruit is banana, and those kind of fruits, they are referred to as parthenocarpic fruit. Okay, they are referred to as a parthenocarpic fruits that are not formed as a result of a fertilization. So we have different ways. We have different ways of classifying fruits. Before then, this is a general structure of a fruit. A fruit normally will contain epicarp, mesocarp, endocarp, the three of them which make up what we call the pericarp. Okay, epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. A fruit will have placenta, a fruit will have seed, and then like we said in the definition, one or more seed, and then a seed could also have succulent hairs, succulent parts, although some fruits have a part that we can refer to as hard parts. Okay, so let's go to the classification, okay, of fruit. This is just talking about difference between a fruit and a seed. We've talked about it earlier, that fruit develop from fertilized ovary, while seed develop from ovule. Fruit has no micropyle, a seed has micropyle, and all that. So let's go to classification of fruit. We have different ways by which we classify fruit. So many different ways by which we classify fruit. But in this class, we are going to concentrate on these four major parts. We classify them according to whether they are true fruit or false fruit. We classify them also on the basis of how simple they are, or aggregate or composite. They will also classify them on the basis of either they are fleshy fruit or they are dry fruit, and then also classify them on the basis of their ability to break or to split when they are dry. We call those ones dehiscent and indehiscent fruits. So we move on to the first one, which is the true fruit and false fruit. When you talk about true fruit, a true fruit is a type of fruit that develops from a fertilized ovary. It develops only from a fertilized ovary. An example of such fruit is mango fruit, orange fruit, cowpea fruit, as you can see some of them here, fig, grapes, and so on. Those are true fruit. They develop only from what? Fertilized ovary. Why false fruit, on the other hand, they are fruit that is formed from ovary and other floral parts. Especially they are formed from floral parts. Those are the flower parts. We've talked about the floral parts of a flower before. We talk about the sepal, we talk about the petal, we talk about the carpel and all that. So a false fruit is formed basically from the floral part of the flower. Examples are apple, pineapple, cashew, okay, and so on. Then let's come to the classification based on whether it's simple, aggregate, or composite. A fruit is said to be simple if it develop from flowers with a single ovary. There are flowers that have only single or one ovary, and such fruits are referred to as simple fruits. Okay, example of such fruits, you have the pawpaw, tomato, okra, and so on. Don't forget we are talking about different classification. So you may have some example of fruits that they are simple and they are also true fruit. You understand? Okay. So apart from that, we also have the aggregate fruit. When they will say a fruit is aggregate, it means such fruit develop from single flower with several ovaries. Single flower with several ovaries. Don't forget, simple fruit develop from a single ovary. Okay. Why aggregate fruit develop from single flower with several ovaries? Example of such, you have the strawberry, you have the custard, you have the cola, and so on. Okay, so the next one is composite fruit. When you talk about composite fruit, they develop from an inflorescence. When you say inflorescence, they develop from several flowers. Several flowers. Very good example is pineapple. Pineapple doesn't have seed that you plant. Okay, it develops majorly from the flowers, from the several flowers, and you know the way by which you can propagate such fruits. Let's go to fleshy fruit, another base of classification. When we talk about fleshy fruit, they are type of fruit that they have their whole pericarp being thick, soft, and also succulent. When I say pericarp, I said it earlier, pericarp is a collection of the epicarp, the mesocarp, and the endocarp. Okay, the epicarp, okay, the mesocarp, and then the what? Endocarp. Okay, makes up the pericarp. So in a fleshy fruit, the pericarp is thick, soft, and also succulent, especially when it is ripe. Now we have different types of fleshy fruit. We have the one we refer to as the one we refer to as the drupe. When we say drupe, it means such fruit has only one seed, and the seed is hard. Very good example, you have it here. Okay, very good example is here. Mango has only one seed, and the seed is hard. That is a drupe. Okay, hope you are following. Another good example is coconut. Coconut has only one seed, and the seed is also hard. That's also a very good example of what? Of drupe. Many are confused when we talk about coconut being a drupe. I've said it severally. Coconut is a fruit. The one that you eat, inside it is the seed. Okay, why the other part that is fibrous, okay, that you have to remove before you get to the seed, okay, that is the mesocarp. Okay, so I'm still going to show you the picture of the coconut as we go, as we move on. So apart from that, you also have the one we refer to as a berry. That's apart from the drupe, we have berry, and berry is a kind of fruit that has many seeds, small seeds, and there are many. Very good example, you have it in a tomato. Another example is orange. Orange can also be described as a hesperidium fruit. Okay, it can both be an hesperidium and can also be described as berry. Okay, then cucumber too. Cucumber too is a very good example of berry. It has small seeds, and the seeds are also many. Then you also have pome as a type of fleshy fruit. Pome, on the other hand, it's a kind of fruit that, you know, is a first fruit, and it has the seed only in the center. And a very good example of that is a apple. Okay, a very good example of that is apple. And then you also have uh, the sorosis. The sorosis is a kind of fruit that is formed from several flowers, and a very good example of that is pineapple. Okay, so you also have pomegranate. Pomegranate is a kind of fruit that have a lot of seed, and that is also classified as baluster. Okay, so those are types of fleshy fruit. Then we move on to the fruit that we refer to as dry fruit. When we say a fruit is dry, it means such fruit, the pericarp, will become dry, hard, and woody, or they become fibrous when the fruit is ripe. I said pericarp is a major characteristic of all fruits. Some have their pericarp fused together, some have it separate, and I say pericarp is divided into epicarp, mesocarp, and endocarp. Okay, so now when we talk about fruit that is dry, it means such pericarp of such fruit is dry and is hard and is woody when they are ripe. So this can also be divided into two. You have the dry dehiscent fruit and you have dry indehiscent fruit. When you say dry dehiscent fruit, it means such fruit, when they dry, they split or they dies. Okay, they split or they break. That's what we mean by dry dehiscent fruit. And when they dry, they leave the fruit walls on the plant. Okay, so the seed will fall off from it when they are dry and they die. So let's look at the different types of dry dehiscent. Number one is the legume. You have those ones that you refer to as the legume. It's a type of simple fruit that is formed from superior monocarpous pistil, and when such fruit is ripe, the pericarp will dice longitudinally along both sides in order to release the seed. Very good example of such is Pride of Barbados. You can see that here. Pride of Barbados is an example of dry dehiscent fruit. When it is dry, it splits. Okay, in fact, one of the mode of dispersal, which we'll talk about very soon, is known as the explosive mechanism. Okay, so when it is dry, it will split in order to release the seed inside of it. Okay, another example is capsule. The capsule is formed from a single ovary that is divided into many independent compartments, and you call those compartments carpels. So the fruit wall of this is hard, and when dry and it splits along those sides. Very good example is okra. Okay, I will show you an example of okra later. Okay, so let me just quickly go there for you to see what I'm talking about. This is okra. Okay, you can see that it's divided into several compartments. So when it is dry, the compartments begin to break. Okay, so that is for that. I'll still come back to that later. So you have other ones like follicle. Follicle is another example of dry dehiscent fruit, and this is formed from a superior monocarpous pistil. So the ripe fruit will dice longitudinally on only one side. An example is a cola or silk cotton. Then you also have schizocarp as an example of dry dehiscent fruit that is formed from an ovary that is made of one carpel, a single carpel. So the fruit has several seeds and break into several units. Good example is a desmodium. Those are dry dehiscent fruits, fruit that will split and release their seed when they are ripe. Let's move on to dry indehiscent fruit. When you say dry indehiscent, like I said earlier, when they are dry, they don't release their seed. They don't break. Okay, they just remain like that. They fall to the ground, and when they fall to the ground, they will then become they will decompose. Okay, they will decompose. So such fruits include nuts. Generally, examples are nuts. When you say nuts, you could refer to as cashew nuts. You all know cashew nuts. When cashew nuts is ripe, the fruit falls to the ground, okay, and then it is decomposed, okay, and then the seeds will then be released. Okay, so that is for nuts. Then you also have caryopsis as another example. Okay, you have nuts here, you have caryopsis here. Okay, example of caryopsis: wheat, maize grain, millet, guinea corn. As those are example of caryopsis. Then you have cypsela too. Cypsela is a small fruit and it developed from superior monocarpous ovary, contain only one seed. So the pericarp is free from the seed. Very good example is triders. I'll show you triders very shortly too. Okay, so that's for cypsela. But then you have example here, something that look like triders here. Okay, so then another one is achenin. The achenin is a kind of fruit that contains only one seed and developed from apocarpous pistil. So the pericarp is from the seed coat. An example is strawberry and sunflower. You can see an example here. Okay, so the next one is samara, and a samara is a very simple fruit. It's a simple fruit as well as a true fruit, and in which the pericarp is extended to form one or more wing-like structure. It's usually developed from superior ovary and is made up of more than one carpel and usually contain one or more seeds. Very good example is the African rosewood. All these are these various examples and types of fruit that are dry, and when they dry, they don't break, they don't split to open and release their what, their seed. Okay, so I haven't talked about that. Let's talk about dispersal of seeds and fruit. When you talk about dispersal, what does it mean? That is defined as a transfer of seed of fruit from the parent plant to other places where the seed may grow or may germinate. That is dispersal. Okay, the seeds are able to be transferred from the parent to other parts, okay, of the ecosystem, to other places where the seed can also grow. Okay, so we have different. Okay, what are the importance of dispersal of fruit and seed? Number one, it results in colonization of new areas with new plants. That's very important, so that all seed and all fruit don't just be in one part. Other areas are colonized. Then you also have prevention of overcrowding of plants. That's very important, because when there's overcrowding, there's competition and there's unhealthy competition. Okay, apart from that, it also prevents diseases from spreading among plant species, and lastly, prevent undesirable competition for space, for light, for water, and for nutrient. Those are the importance of dispersal. Let's talk about different type of dispersal now. We have seeds that are or fruit that are dispersed by wind. When we say they are dispersed by wind, what are the characteristics of such fruit or such seed? Number one is that they are usually very light in weight. As you can see here, you can see the triders, you can see the cotton seed. Apart from that, they may possess flows to aid floating in the wind. Okay, flows will make them to be able to float. Okay, and then they also have parachute. Some of them may have parachute like triders. Okay, triders as parachute. Okay, or we call it purpose for floating. Those are the adaptive feature of such seed that are dispersed by wind. Very good example you can see here, cotton seed. That's where you get your cotton wool, and triders. Okay, next is seed dispersed by animals. So many type of seeds are dispersed by animal. You can see an animal here eating a watermelon, and the watermelon contains seed. What are the characteristics of such fruit or seed that is passed by animals? They may possess hooks and other attachment structure. Okay, apart from that, they are edible to animals. If animal cannot eat them, they cannot disperse them. So they are edible to animals, and then they have undigestible seed, like the the one you see here. The seed of watermelon is undigestible to the animals, so the animal will have to excrete it and or spill it out as a way of dispersing it. And then you can also see here the bird taking a granite. Okay, dispersing it to other places. So apart from that, you also have seed dispersed by or fruit dispersed by water. Number one feature of such fruit is that they have waterproof epicarp. Waterproof epicarp. Okay, that's their outer layer. You can see here, this is a coconut fruit. So this part of it is the uh, epicarp. That's the epicarp, of which the mesocarp, after you after this first layer, the mesocarp is the layer underneath, which is referred to as a fibrous mesocarp. And the purpose of it is to be able to trap air so that it can remain floating on water. You can see that as it is on the water, it's already germinating. So coconut's an example, onwards an example. Okay, and then you can also see water lily is also an example of fruit that is dispersed by water. And then lastly, you have explosive mechanism. Fruit that is passed by explosive. What is explosive mechanism? It means such fruit will break. They are fruit that I refer to as they are dry dehiscent. So it means they break when they are dry. What is their feature? The epicarp contracts when they dry. When they contract, they are ready to break. And then they also have uneven drying. And then that is as a result of the splitting of the uh, pericarp. Okay, so because they do not dry at the same time, they dry unevenly. So the pericarp is able to split in order to release the seed. You can see this fruit now. This part is already dry, and that's why the seed are exposed already. Okay, look at this example. So this is okra, and this is a pride of Barbados. It's dry. Okay, you can see that it's dry. This one is dry and it has split. This one is dry, but it has not yet split. Okay, when eventually completely dry, it's going to split just like this, and then be able to also release its be able to release its seed. So that is those are the different disperser mechanisms or agent of disperser that you found in fruit and seed. Finally, I'm going to talk about placentation. This is very important. I have a video that I've done on this to explain it properly, so I'm going to share the video with you under this video description of this video so that you can check it out. What is placentation? That is simply the arrangement of the ovules within the ovary. We've talked about ovary. You know what ovaries are. You know what ovules are. The arrangement of ovules within the ovary is what you refer to as placentation. And the ovules are attached to the ovary by a fleshy structure that is called placenta. I told you what placenta is when we talk about reproduction in a animal. I said the point of attachment of embryo to the walls of the uterus is what you refer to as placenta. Okay, so in this case, in flowering plant too, you also have placenta, singular placenta, the plural placentae. Okay, so now we have 5 different type of placentation. The first one is axillary placentation. You have marginal placentation, parietal placentation, free central placentation, and basal placentation. A quick look at each of them. The first one is axillary placentation. In axillary placentation, the ovules are on the central colon. The ovules are where? On the central colon. Okay, and very good example of that is tomato, orange. If you cut your orange or tomato in the transverse section, you will see that these ovules, they are attached to they are at the central colon. Okay, the next one is the marginal placentation. In marginal placentation, the ovules are arranged along one side. Look at this. Look at this. They are arranged along what? Along one side. Along one side. That's what you refer to, that's what we call That's what we call marginal placentation. A very good example of that is found in flamboyant, pride of Barbados, and so on. The next one is parietal placentation. When you say parietal placentation, the ovules are attached to the sides of the syncarpous ovary. Look at it. They are attached to the sides of the ovary. A very good example of this is found in pawpaw, carica papaya. When you look at pawpaw, you cut it along either longitudinal or transverse, you will see the seeds that are attached on the walls. That is for parietal. Then you also have free central placentation. In free central placentation, the ovules are attached to the knob, which projects from the base of the ovary. Okay, this you are looking at here projects from the base of the ovary. Is different from what you have in exile. This project from the base of the ovary. Okay, and a very good example, you find it in the prime rose, you find it in water leaf. Okay, and lastly, you have basal placentation. In basal placentation, the ovules are attached to the base of the syncarpous ovary. The ovules are attached to the what? The base of the syncarpous ovary. Example is triders, sunflower, and also mango fruits. You can see how the ovules are attached to the base of the ovary. Okay, so this brings me to the end of this class. Thank you for joining me in the class. Make sure you go over it again and again, and I'm sure it will be very helpful for you in all your exam. Thank you. You can please like the video, share it, and also subscribe so that you can have updates when educational videos are uploaded. Thank you once again.